Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for Capricorn season, which, as you know, runs from December 2025 to January 2026. I'm using the 777 Tarot for you today. It's a Bulgarian deck that I picked up on Christmas Eve and I'm absolutely in love with it. Anyway, I hope you are well. Before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end if you so wish to do so. Links for that are down in the description box below. You're looking for the link that takes you to Selfie if you just want the extended for this reading. If you want to see all of the extended content that I make, which includes obviously not only the extendeds for all of the signs, but also the weekly energy readings that I do and videos on all sorts of topics that I just do when I feel like it, you might want to come over to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, over on the Circle platform. If you join at the higher tier, you can come participate in the classes that we run over there. If time zones mean that you can't attend live, then there is a library of past classes which you could work through in your own time. So if that sounds like it might be of interest to you, interesting that I've stopped shuffling. I'm on the death card. Let's do some more shuffling, because now I've looked at the bottom card, I feel like I can't do the thing. Anyway, so where we would usually have the past energy here, which is to say, you know, any time from this morning up to about 6 weeks back, I've found that with this round of readings, this is actually functioning more like a retrospective on 2025. So we're going to pull 3 cards for each of the positions. The 2025, I guess. What was the point of it? I think we'll be unpacking that for a while, to be honest. And then the present energy and, you know, what's going on in Capricorn season for you. So let's get that done. So, whoa, that was the first card. We've got the 5 of Swords, Venus in Aquarius, interestingly. We also have the Queen of Pentacles, and let's see, one more, that's 2, okay. We have the Hermit and we have the 7 of Pentacles on its side. We'll take the 4, because that seems to be what they want. About current energy for Scorpio, please. So, we have the 4 of Cups. Interestingly, a card that's made quite an appearance for a lot of signs. Page of Swords, we've also seen that quite a bit. We've got the 2 of Wands, and we've got the Hanged Man, which is interesting, particularly since it's coming up at a crossroads. And what about the rest of Capricorn season, please, for Scorpio? We have the 5 of Cups, a Scorpio card. Let's have a look. What else do we have? We have the World reversed, and we have the 8 of Cups on its side. Queen of Cups is at the bottom of the deck here. That's just, I need a bigger fucking table, I think. Anyway, none of these are clarifiers. They're all meant to be read together, right? I know it's a bit of a clusterfuck here, but bear with me, because I have a feeling that the stuff that's coming up here for you is exceedingly nuanced and layered, as we would expect for Scorpio, right? And I don't think it's going to... I don't think we could just do a clean sweep over the top and get anywhere close to what's been going on for you. So I'm not too aggrieved that there are more cards on the table than I asked for. But at the same time, the positioning of these cards is really, really interesting. So we're going to start over here with 2025. Fuck me. I genuinely think, and I'm fairly sure I said this at points in 2025, that the point of 2025 is not going to be entirely clear until we are some way down the road. And that isn't necessarily in 2026. I mean, we could be looking from 27 onwards, actually. Because the idea that we were part of some sort of big cosmic tapestry that was being woven and we can't see the design yet was, for me, permeating the whole of 2025. Struggle, suffering, I think we all had points of that at times. But you'll notice here, it's Queen of Pentacles, 5 of Swords, Hermit on its side, 7 of Pentacles on its side. I want to start with the 7 of Pentacles, if I may. 7 is a number that I find quite scorpionic anyway, not least because it is more often than not concerned with the the identification of truth, right? And sometimes it's simply about the act of seeking the truth rather than necessarily finding it, right? And where the Seven of Pentacles shows up, what we have is the truth of the environment and how well we are matched to it. In the first instance, when you do a first pass over the Seven of Pentacles, it can seem that there are many things that are wrong with the environment, and this can be people, this can be situations, this could be your work setup, where you live, all those sorts of things, right? It would be covered by the Seven of Pentacles. But when we go back over it again and look at it a little deeper, usually what the Seven of Pentacles is indicating is that there has been some sort of change, there's been some sort of transition within ourselves, which means that a situation that we were kind of aligned with in one way or another is now no longer aligning with us in the same way, right? So the problem then becomes, how much discomfort are you going to tolerate trying to shoehorn yourself into something that used to fit and doesn't fit anymore, before you allow yourself to spread into something else, right? The snake that cannot shed its skin will die. And Scorpio is the last sign that I need to lecture on that front about. But sometimes it can be really difficult to actually nail down what has changed within ourselves, or what we might at the first pass assume has changed in the environment. And I think to some extent we have that indicated by the fact that the Seven of Pentacles is on its side. For me, there's two ways of reading these cards when they show up like this. The first is that we are actually watching an energy in transition, right? So going from an upright to a reversed, or vice versa. The thing is, when we're looking at a retrospective, right, stuff that has already happened, if it hasn't committed to one way or the other, then it's simply been an energy that's been shuffling in and potentially is still present, I would say. To it, then, I think it's safe to assume that the whole of 2025 had a deeply uncomfortable feel to it for you. Now, the fact that the Hermit has shown up on its side as well, I think is actually speaking to the level of confusion about all of this. Now, usually we would associate something like the Seven of Cups with confusion, and rightly so. But it does rather seat it in the emotional rather than all of the other things too, right? So the Hermit would be like, I'm going to go within and look for the answers to this. But if you're absolutely convinced that the problem is external, then what sense might it make to go within? Well, we know, that generally always the answers can be found within ourselves. But it seems like the confusion reigns around not only meaning, and I think we see that here with that Five of Swords. Have we understood correctly what is happening? Have we understood correctly the environment that we're in? Have we understood correctly whether it's time to go within or go without, as it were? And in the midst of it all, the Queen of Pentacles is also going, but what does it mean? What has value? It feels like a bit of a shit show. I'm not saying that you're a shit show. I mean, the circumstances that you've been in have been a bit of a shit show, because it's like, am I supposed to be feeling my way forward? Am I supposed to be thinking my way forward? I would imagine for some of you, there's been a lot of challenges around the idea of value full stop. Like I said, this is Venus in Aquarius, right? So we've got value baked in there somewhere. Queen of Pentacles is absolutely, that's what she does. She makes sense of what things are valuable. And here, it feels like it's not been clear to you whether the things that you stand for, whether the things that you believe are actually right moving forwards. And if there is any amendment or adjustment to be made, like, where the fuck does that happen? Because everything about these cards here screams to me agitation, mismatch, discomfort, actually. Now, on some level, I'm not too concerned about that, because discomfort is to some extent a prerequisite for any kind of movement, any kind of growth, right? Because humans are quite pain avoidant, generally, as it goes. Even you, to some extent, Scorpio. And in those sorts of situations, right, if it's not broke, we don't want to fix it, right? We tend to stay in our comfort zone. That's why a comfort zone is a thing. But if you can't work out what is wrong, if you can't work out where the discomfort is coming from, you know, it's like having a stone in your shoe and taking your hat off, trying to see if that fixes it, right? No, that's not a good metaphor, because it's been trying to identify where the discomfort is coming from. Is the call coming from inside the house? Is it some way in which, you know, we're not addressing something? Is it something to do with our belief system? Is it something to do with what we value? Is it something about those things being challenged and we're finding that actually we have nothing to back up why we have the position that we have, or why we value the things that we do? All of this is a beautiful cake recipe for well, it's painful and I don't know how to stop it. Right, let's get some clarifiers on the table here. See what else they can add to this. Give me some clarifiers for these cards, please. Okay, well, we've got the Temperance card. Probably would have been quite nice to feel some of that energy. But here's the thing. I think you have been working through that. We've got the Four of Cups on its side, the Page of Swords on its side. Again, speaking to this discomfort and a sense of like, what have I missed? Oh, good Lord. Hello. Well, come on then. Come and say hello. This is my cat. I'm sure she'll probably get on the table in a second, so you'll get to see it close up. It's one of my cats. I somehow now have 4 cats. We don't question why the cats want to move in. We just accept and feed them and give them cuddles. Anywho, Miko, what the fuck? Okay, well, while she's looking at that, we're going to look here. The whole point of the year has been actually about trying to find the balance. Miko, you're kind of video bombing. Can you get out of the way? Come and sit on my lap. There we go. Trying to find the balance in the middle of all of these uncomfortable things, because 2025 wasn't really a year of change exactly. It wasn't a year where we were supposed to change 1,000,001 different things. In some ways, 2026 was a question of resilience, right? How much shit can you put up with in one given year? You got to turn the volume down on the purring, my friend. Because you see here the Page of Swords is on its side, right? The discernment for which I think the Page of Swords actually deserves some credit, because he has to cherry pick the information that he thinks is valuable, and we're back to that idea of value again, so that he can pass it on to the Knight, who can then have all of this stuff analysed by the Queen, and then eventually passed on to the King, who makes some sort of decision about it. He's not really had a good go of stuff. It's like everything's important, nothing's important. What does it all mean? It's almost like the discernment ability got turned down, right? It got switched off, and it was just like a wall of information, and not all of it was useful. Not all of it was even to some extent relevant, right? But where the information wasn't relevant, maybe it had a deep relevancy because it was tapping into something that you believed and something that you thought, which now you're starting to see was maybe not as accurate as you thought you were. Oh no, I got a hot day. All the cats are coming in now. Come on, Crib. No. Miko, down. Go on. Go and play with your friend. There we go. And we can see this because we've got this foundation level energy here, 4 of Cups and the 4 of Pentacles, which are both saying like something is shifting. It's not being left behind. It's not being resolved, and all the things that we would like to see when it comes to things like structure. In fact, it's all been dissolving. Now that ordinarily would not be something that I would feel Scorpios would have too much of a problem with, right? If it's one thing that you understand deeply, it is the degradation and the decay of everything, right? And making space. Excuse me. Making space for the new to be seeded, to be born. But what you're not used to is a dissolution that is partial. breakdown that is partial and then stalls and then simply maintains where it is. And that's what these two foundational cards feel like to me. Absent any information to choose which way to go with what we think, what we value, what we feel, it's like, how slowly can all of these things break down with nothing new to come in to replace it? Quite simply, it's been 100% an ordeal of, oh fuck, what's the word that I'm looking for? There's a word that I'm looking for and I can't find it at all. It's probably because of this. Come on, my friend. No. It's been designed to show you what you can tolerate. And at points this year's probably felt pretty intolerable, and yet here you are in January 2026 and you're still here. There's been something very healing about this, even though the direct experience of it has probably been anything but. But there's more to temperance than just healing, and the balance of I'm gonna have to go put this child somewhere else. Stay there. So sorry about the cat bombing. Anyway. That which you hold within you, which is an innate understanding of the breakdown, of the decay, of the things not having structure anymore, right, and the making space and all that sort of thing, is to some extent a lesson that the rest of the zodiac has been learning. Different speeds, and learning it to different depths and whatnot, but certainly that you don't need to learn that, you know it. But there is a question of how much uncertainty you can tolerate, and the uncertainty has shown up in not the way that you would expect it to. The certainty being that nothing lasts forever and everything changes, right, which is innately Scorpio, but that sometimes things carry on for a very, very long time, and meaning and value is sometimes lost. We lose sight of it. We can't touch it anymore. Like, everybody's had their normal understanding of the world interfered with in some way or another, right? And if everybody else is watching it break down and learning to endure is something that they've tried to tell themselves is solid and structured and whatnot, then a lesson of the same sort of level for you is not going to involve everything's breaking down, so obviously, something new is coming. It's like, it's going to be difficult in a different way for you. Six of Pentacles. It's a case of, can you hold the tension of opposites? Not can you watch them break down, but can you hold them, even though both are deeply, deeply uncomfortable and there's no sense of a transition or a transformation from one thing to another? Can you simply stay where you are? That, for me, I think, would be incredibly difficult, because it's subverting the norms, right? It doesn't feel right. We've got another card of balance here with the Chariot card. Now, the Chariot, when it shows up, is always about oneself. I mean, yes, it does talk about success and victory and all those kinds of things that we associate with the Chariot card. But the question is always, why? And the why is because we have balanced things. We have held the tension of opposites within ourselves, right? So the light and the dark, the positive and negative polarities, right? Everything is polarity. Everything is the extremes held in balance, hopefully. And so rather than a complete collapse, what we've had is that tension of opposites. Can you hold it? And the answer is quite literally, Scorpio, yes, you can. Would you want to do it again? I don't think so. But there is something really quite phenomenal that has changed within you, even if it is the extent to which you are able to tolerate and endure. Because ultimately you are a fixed sign, right? But I think the fixedness in you is the expectation that everything breaks down. It is the expectation that, for some of you, right, that everybody's going to disappoint you, that everybody's going to try and hurt you, that, you know, your role in this life is to just try and get through without an arrow piercing your armor, right? It's but there's something much deeper that's been prodded here. And for me, it seems to revolve around the idea of keeping hold of the thought that there is value, that there is a point, that there is meaning, when everything seems to be suggesting that that's not the case. We're talking about faith and trust, Scorpio, not two traits that you are particularly known for. And yet that is what has weathered you through 2025. That is what has sheltered you to some extent. You probably don't feel like you were very sheltered, but it's the thing that's kept you going, which is absolutely fucking fascinating. Got a different cat in the room now. Hopefully it'll be a bit quieter. So when we move into your current energy, we have the Four of Cups, Cancer card, the Page of Swords, the Two of Wands, and the Hanged Man. And like I said, this is really interesting because this Four of Cups has been showing up quite a bit. And there is a way that I usually interpret this, but it's come to mean something quite different in this round of readings. It seems to be alluding to, or at least pointing to, what on a foundational level is shifting within us, which is to say, the extent to which we use our past experiences to predict what will happen next. You know, this is why we get stuck in cycles. This is why we get trapped in patterns of, of self-sabotage and and all these sorts of things, right? But to some extent, this seems to have been eliminated from the conversation. Like, here you are in January 2026, and it's like, well, none of the things that happened to me in the past actually are useful for predicting what happens next. Now, if you don't think that that is a massive fucking achievement, huge achievement, then, I'm stunned, because this is how the human brain works, and yet somehow there is a transcendent quality to the way that you are perceiving reality now. Is it comfortable? No, I don't think so. Certainly not. Because what we've got then is a great big sea of uncertainty. Like, what will happen? Have absolutely no idea. You know, I don't feel like this hitting you quite as hard on the identity front as it has done some of the other signs. But it's definitely changing the way that you see everything, seeing the world. I mean, I was talking to, who's I talking to? Oh, I think it might have been in the weekly energy reading. I was just saying, no, it wasn't, it was Gemini. Like, a lot of the stuff that we have in our own heads, if it seems a little bit out there and a little bit fringe, a lot of us will keep it to ourselves, right? But it absolutely informs our worldview. And what I said to Gemini, and I think I may have even, Gemini, definitely. My house is just full of purring and cat noises now. Was that there's nothing that's too out there at this point. And for Gemini, it's actually really quite important that they start talking about that, because we truly, what each of us understand to be normality, and I'm assuming that there's, more or less a kind of bell curve where everybody kind of agrees that this is what's going on in the middle, is no longer a bell curve. There's an even distribution at the edges, in the middle, everywhere. It's almost like a straight line where all things are possible simultaneously, everything everywhere all at once, right? But as it pertains to you, it feels like it's changed everything. Case in point, we know, and I'm sure we've talked about this before, I'm sure I've said this to you before, that to be born a Scorpio is to choose a hard path in life. I 100% believe that that's true. Right? There's no easy mode shit going on here with Scorpio. Why? Because early experiences tend to fall into the category of childhood trauma through one avenue or another, right? And it's a very difficult thing to feel so much and then be exposed to fairly consistently the darker side of the human experience, right? At the hands of people who are supposed to care about you. I mean, I feel like these are intrinsic to the Scorpio experience, right? So moving forwards then, it cannot help that, for 99.9% of all Scorpios, what they expect to come forward is, and what they are constantly ducking, diving and trying to elude, right, is the possibility of more of that kind of shit coming towards them. Now, whatever's happened, whatever's transpired here in 2025, it seems to have shifted something for you, such that you're not using your past experiences to project forward anymore, right? We've got quite literally a whole new way of seeing the world. Let me pause again. My dog doorbell is going off. Sorry, I think like a hamster farted 2 provinces over or something like that. Anyway, and what's interesting about this is that it is the Page of Swords, right? The Page of Swords is rapid mental expansion. Remember, I said before, like the Page of Swords actually has a high degree of discernment, right? It is that intelligence that helps us when we've slogged through the cognitive crisis, which is the Suit of Swords from Ace to 10. The Page is this newly emerged character who sees the world slightly differently. Now, it doesn't have the kind of epiphany. Even epiphany's a little bit weak, like paradigm shattering effect that sometimes the Ace of Swords can have, where it is something that is so novel that we've never come across this before. Page is like, no, I'm scaffolding onto what I know, new things, right? Mental expansion, huge mental expansion. And I feel like somehow, as a result of what you've experienced over here, what's actually going on over here is an awareness of possibilities. Because we've got this expanded Page of Swords here, speaking to, how you're viewing reality, what you think is going on, what you versus what you might have expected to be going on in previous years. And we've got the Hanged Man, which is a card of absolute profound change of perspective. Now, it talks of other things too. It talks of surrender. It talks about submission. It's a Pisces card, and it's got that heavy Pisces acceptance to it, right? And how things change when we simply accept them. But ultimately, what we're talking about is illumination through seeing things from a different perspective. Now, what you're seeing through a different perspective is the possibilities of the future without being passed through the lenses of the past. Oh, this is huge, Scorpio, because you may not know where you're going, and I think it's probably true across the board that none of us really know what 2026 is going to unleash upon our fucking faces, right? But the extent that we're willing to almost roll with this, the expectation that to some extent it is entirely possible that we're going to have this repeated energy playing forwards again and again and again over the course of 2026, where you have developed a flexibility in changing the way that you see things because your mind is open and all things are possible. I don't usually see the Two of Wands as an all things are possible. That's usually the preserve of the ace, right? Because it's pure potentiality. But there's something about the choice that you have that seems to be ringing a bell in your life in a way that you've never really experienced before, because this lens has been taken off. It's not there. We don't project what happened in the past forward. We haven't got a weary expectation of things going wrong. It's kind of like, well, things are what they are, and I can choose what I decide to engage with. I can choose what I bring into my reality that shows me where the parameters of it is. And at this point, I actually don't think you have any parameters for reality. It's almost like all bets are fucking off. Six of Wands on its side is interesting. Yeah, I knew the Judgment card was going to come out here somewhere, right? Because here's the... Wow, look at this. We talk about the Fool in terms of new starts, right? And many other things besides, right? You know, we talk about taking a leap of faith, a leap of trust, right? The Fool is essentially pretty foolish because he doesn't have the experience to know that he's right at the edge of a cliff and something dire is about to happen, right? So there is a naivete with the Fool that we can't ignore. But here we have a faith and trust element, and the Fool travels light. You can see this here, right? He doesn't carry much with him, doesn't carry baggage with him. And in the symbolic way that we're talking about it here, it's a confirmation of what we've been talking about, right? The lens of shit has been removed from the camera. We're not taking the old baggage into the new world. We're travelling a hell of a lot lighter. Now, there is a version of you, Scorpio, that somewhere would have gone, that is the most reckless and foolhardy thing that anybody could fucking do, because they're going to get fucked over somewhere. Past experience has told us this. What shifted is the way that you feel yourself. And this is wild. Because the acceptance that we see here is that you're not always going to win. Now that might get a Scorpio in competitive mode. I have experienced that, Scorpio. It's definitely a fucking thing, right? You have that capacity for obsession that makes you fucking amazing at stuff because you just won't put it down until you are amazing at stuff, right? The concept of success, you know, mitigated as it may be, actually permeates your existence in all things, right? So if your concept of success is don't get hurt, right, your entire life has been kind of oriented around that, right? That's success. Might not look like success to other people. In fact, the ways in which you may avoid the pain might look, you know, anything but successful to other people, but they don't understand you, right? What's changed here is your willingness to engage with life without the guarantee of you having foreseen the success up ahead. What does this mean? This means you're sitting in a sea of uncertainty and you're okay with that. Now, you remember years ago, Scorpio, we talked about how to be a Scorpio is quite often to be like the spider, right, sat in the middle of the web, and each of the strands of the web were possibilities, ways in which things could go wrong, right? And the way that Scorpio can feel ahead into hypotheticals, right? And never get surprised by anything, never get ambushed by anything, because, you know, as each of these strands of the web intersect, there's a whole new set of possibilities that are arising for ways for people to fuck you over, right? So at any given point, you're kind of projecting your consciousness forward. And from here, you could kind of work out what was the likely, you know, set of events that were going to occur at some point. You're always 50 steps ahead of everybody else, and nobody ever fucking recognized that about you, right? And they also did not realize how fucking exhausting it was to do that all of the time. Now, you did that because the fundamental success for you in that case would have been, don't get fucked over. Don't allow yourself to get hurt. You can take evasive maneuvers if you know what's coming in, right? And you always did know what was coming in. But underneath all of that, and we talked about this at the time, there was a fear that if it happened, it would be too much. It'd be the thing that finished you off. So that survival instinct was like duck, weave, bob, evade. So for you to sit here and go, I am not casting my consciousness ahead 50 steps or 50 people or, you know, 50 degrees of bacon, or, you know, Kevin Bacon or whatever it is, and go, I'm all right, I'm right here. What's happened is you are situated in the now, and whatever comes along, whether or not you understand it, 2025 has had a lot to do with this. Whatever comes along, you have hope and faith and trust that you will weather the storm. The judgment card is about the choices that we make, right? It can talk about other things besides. I mean, some people will look at it in a kind of rebirth way, right? Resurrection, that sort of thing. And it's like all of the shades of this are true. We've got you consciously deciding that you will engage with the struggle even without the carrot of a kind of guaranteed success, because you're working to a different idea of what success will look like. But more than that, you have faith in yourself that you're going to be okay, Scorpio, more than okay. Because this Queen of Wands is a level of visibility, a level of authenticity, perhaps, that you have been deeply afraid to show at any point in the past before, because you know where this goes. You show somebody your, unprotected flank, somebody's going to shove a spear into it. Now, I don't get that impression from your energy here at all. It's just not here. Which means whether you recognize it or not, you have grown at such an unbelievable level that you are actually like the snake shedding its skin properly. But it almost like discovering you're a lizard, having done that, right? You maybe ugly duckling, right? I'm not a fucking duck, I'm a swan. But, you know, snake shedding its skin to discover that actually it's got legs and it can hoon around at, like, 50 miles an hour. This is extraordinary, Scorpio. Three of Swords. Like, you know how... Oh, fuck, I've got goosebumps. Seven of Swords says you're not naive with it. It's not like all Scorpios have gone, oh, well, this is wonderful, cucumber sandwiches and unicorns and, pink fluffy fucking whatevers, right? You're not doing that. You're doing, I can cope. I can handle this. I can do this. I can hold the tension of the potential of pain, along with pain that I have already experienced, and still keep a clear view moving forwards. I can still talk to people. I can still engage with people on any level, because I know what people are capable of, but I also know what I'm capable of in terms of withstanding I know that that's not the end of me. And there are many more things to be gained by holding that position than evading it. Scorpio, this is fucking incredible. Like, Capricorn season. 5 of Cups, the World reversed, the 8 of Cups. Now, despite the fact that the 5 of Cups is a Scorpio card, I'm not entirely sure that any of this is about you, weirdly enough. The World reversed is almost like an aborted completion, right? And there's nothing that I've seen in any of these other cards here that would even slightly allude to that on your behalf. Deep, stuck grief that we talk about in terms of the 5 of Cups. I'm seeing nothing here that's talking about that for you, Scorpio. Like, you are literally the embodiment of the opposite of that kind of energy, right? 8 of Cups on its side, shuffling in as a potential. Now, when you look at these cards individually and then, en masse, particularly with that Queen of Cups at the bottom of the deck there, what I am seeing here is a movement from... how do I even describe it? I'm going to have a sup of coffee while I'm thinking about it. It's a deep recognition. That's what it is. Because I think if we were to align these cards for you, personally, Scorpio, they would look like this. Because everything that we've just talked about is the graduation, right? We know that. You got the Fool, right? You've completed your work. At least for now, you've completed your work, although it probably will keep coming up, right? You're definitely moving on to the next stage of being. There's a consciousness evolution that has gone on here. And a huge part of that for you is about stabilizing the chaotic energy of stuck emotions, right? That which led you to duck, weave, bob, evade, all that sort of stuff, right? That's stabilized. Energy is now flowing. Emotions are now flowing. And this 8 of Cups has allowed you quite literally to leave everything behind, right? It's a reclamation of power. The power is not in what you avoid, but in what you draw towards you, right? We've seen this very strongly over here. So the fact that these cards are showing up like this is actually telling me that what happens next is about you, but it's not about you. It's about you in so much as you being positioned in order to help other people. Why? Because there is a deep recognition of what the world, and sometimes the world card can quite literally mean the collective, that everyone, right? Stuck in deep grief and unable to, at this point, move on in any kind of meaningful way from that. Not yet at a point where they can reclaim their power. Some clarifiers out here, please. Thank you. Ace of Cups. 8 of Swords. Fucking hell. That's a shitload of cards there. 10 of Pentacles, 3 of Cups, Strength. Like, it's becoming a bit of a fucking trope now, with me bringing up the teacher leader guide thing, right? I have been literally shitting on about this for, 2 years now? 3 years? I don't know. But the training wheels are off, right? The graduation that you have gone through, even though it doesn't necessarily feel like you're fucking winning by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not sure any of us feel like that at the moment. You are still considerably further down the fucking path than most of the people that surround you. And that's all you need to be of service to people in their moment of need. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you can't help but have been absolutely fucking deluged by every astrologer and their dog in the world putting up videos about the astrology of 2026. Understandably so, to be fair. I don't think at this, although I don't know about you, I'm starting to get fatigue because I've been thinking about 2026 for at least 4 years. But now you can't escape from it anywhere. The fatigue is understandable. However, these are unprecedented times. We are not just living through history, we are quite literally making history, and you are a part of this, Scorpio. Why? Because your job, and I feel like we've all been put here in some capacity or another to bring our lessons to the collective, the things that we've been working through for the last few years. Our job is to help people transition actually really rather quickly from one state of being to another, from one state of consciousness to another, because quite simply we've reached the end of the line. We see it here, Ten of Swords, we see it here in the Ten of Pentacles, but without instruction most people won't know how to go about even beginning to integrate the changes that are going on, right? This is a time for us all to draw together. And Scorpio, you've always, understandably, traditionally kept your circle very small. Right? Your ride or die people who have proven themselves time and time again. I do feel like the circle is expanding for you, and unnecessarily so. Obviously, you had to get to a place where you could allow that, and I think that's now happening. But the kind of growth that the world needs to go through now, I mean, it would be easy to think that we've kind of hit critical mass and this is cool, everything's going to be great. Like when you knock around with people who are in this world, such as we are here, which is, largely what I do. Most people that I spend any kind of time with at all are tarot readers or Reiki practitioners or sound bath healers, or, they're people who are clued into the other side of everything. But even just in this last month, like spending time around my stepdaughter and around my son and my daughter, there's a whole heap of people out there who are not clued into this at all. And when the shit starts to hit the fan, and we're getting very, very close to that, really, I think it starts in Aquarius season, simply builds from there. These people are not going to understand what is happening and why. They certainly won't be able to extract any kind of meaning from this. What we have is an overt cognitive crisis that most people will not be able to think their way out of, reconcile their way out of. What they need is a loving hand, somebody who understands what is happening. Right? Not only what is happening, but also the process of shock that things not being the way that you thought they were actually turns out to be. I will share something with you, Scorpio, mainly because I haven't had anybody else to talk to since I discovered this, and it's actually it's rocked my shit in a really surprising way. I had a random thought, ADHD, earlier, which sent me off on a whole fucking side quest, looking at my family tree. Now, that's more difficult than it sounds, because a war between my mother and my father's family meant that I didn't see a lot of them, so I was kind of trying to pull names out of my head from when I was like 7 years old. And because of the massive trauma that my mother experienced when she was very young, she had very little to do with her family as well, right? So I'm desperately trying to pull shit out of my brain-injured brain. Long and short of it is, I found a birth record for me with a different name, a name that I never knew that I had. It's my mother's maiden name. My name was changed when my parents married, and I knew that they had married after I was born. because I was at the wedding. Apparently, I remember seeing a photo of me being there. But like, my first husband and I, we were common law husband and wife. We never actually married, but my children, they took his name immediately from day one, and I thought the same was true for me. And it's just blown my fucking noggin, because from a numerological point of view, this is very important. Shit like this is very important. And I feel like at the age of 40, how old am I? 45? Yes. I've had my shit rocked by something, and it's, it's probably a very small thing in the grand scheme of things. But look how much craziness there is in the world at the moment. We're not even in the acute phase of the firehorse year yet, of the never before seen astrological transits. What I'm trying to say is, when people's view of normality, what they think is real, gets suddenly presented with new information that totally challenges their paradigm, people have a reaction to that. I've had a reaction to it today, and my partner's not here. He's gone off on a little mission with my stepdaughter, and I'm like, but I need to tell somebody. So I'm telling you, Scorpio, I'm sharing it with you. I'll get over it, don't get me wrong. But I've been surprised by how surprised I've been by that piece of information, and how much it's challenged my identity in the last hour and a half. Now imagine this on a far bigger scale. What you have come through in your lifetime, Scorpio, quite frankly, people should be writing fucking bards, should be writing fucking songs about this, right? Except that it probably would make for uncomfortable listening, right? But the scale of change that you have been through is monumental. I see you. I see what you've done. From this point on, we have to be aware that people are also going to be going through this over and over again over the course of 2026, and they are woefully unprepared. Woefully. Whether you like it or not, you are about to become very prominent and very visible, Scorpio. Perhaps only, in a slightly wider circle than you are known now. But I feel like there's a knowing in you. Right now you've arrived at this place, there's a knowing in you that there was always a reason for it. It's like whatever you were looking for in terms of value and all that kind of thing before, it's almost like this shift has shown you where it was, but it was in a different place to where you were expecting. Fucking touche. There was always a point to you having experienced what you have and come through it the other side. And this is it. This is where we are. It's to teach others to break through the wall. The universe approves. Not only does the universe approve, the universe is going to give a lot of energy to this too. So, by definition, you're going to become a lot better known than you currently are. And for some of you, like if you run a YouTube channel or something like that, it could actually be, hitting on that kind of scale as well. Suddenly one of your videos goes viral or whatnot. But I sense a deep readiness in you for this, and there's nothing that concerns me about it at all. But really, I do think that we've almost reached the end of the quiet period now. From this point on, things are going to get very noisy indeed, and people are already fucking fatigued, desensitized, if you will. When shit starts to hit the fan, people won't know what to do. They won't know how to conduct themselves. They won't know what to think. They won't know what to feel. This is where people like you, like me, step in, right? Because we do get it. We understand. So I'm going to go, now I've talked your ear off for nearly an hour, I'm so sorry. I'm going to go to the extended. If you would like to join me, you're very welcome to do so. We're going to focus very much on this here. You can join me on Selfie, you can join me on Circle. I'd be delighted to see you in either place. If that's not your deal, that's absolutely fine too. I forgot to mention Circle's actually got a 7-day free trial, so if you want to come and check it out, you can do so with no financial outlay required. And if you like it, stay. You know, it's all good. And on that note, barking everywhere, know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.